I'm Newt Gingrich, and unlike President Obama, I'm glad to be in Las Vegas. I think it's a great place to have a convention. And when I am president, we're going to replace class warfare with cooperation so all Americans can get off food stamps and onto paychecks.
Speaker Gingrich, you have said in recent days that Mr. Kane's 999 plan would be a harder sell than he lets on. How so?
Well, you just watched it.
Yeah.
There are, first of all, I think that Herman Cain deserves a lot of credit. He's had the courage to go out and take a specific, very big idea at the right level. And he has us at least talking about something that matters, as opposed to the junk that all too often is masquerading as politics in this country. So I think that's important. There are two parts to this. The first is, if you take his plan, and I think it's the interest of the whole country, to have serious people take his plan and go through it step by step. There are much more complexities than Herman lets on. Okay, I mean, 999 when you get into details like you pay it on a new product, you don't pay it on an old product, etc. There's a lot more detail here than lets on. Second, I favor very narrow, focused tax cuts such as zero capital gains, 100% expensing, because I think, as Governor Romney said, jobs are the #1 challenge for the next 2 or 3 years. Get something you can do very fast. Change on this scale takes years to think through if you're going to do it right.
Speaker Gingrich, you've also been very critical of Mitt Romney's plan, not only on Obamacare, but his plan to lower the capital gains tax only on those earning under $200,000.
I want to stay on health for a minute, okay? Let's just focus. The Boston Herald today reported that the state of Massachusetts is fining a local small business $3,000 because their $750 a month insurance plan is inadequate according to the bureaucrats in Boston. Now, there's a fundamental difference between trying to solve the problems of this country from the top down and trying to create environments in which doctors and patients and families solve the problem from the bottom up. And candidly, Mitt, your plan ultimately, philosophically, it's not Obamacare, and that's not a fair charge, but your plan essentially is one more big government, bureaucratic, high-cost system, which candidly could not have been done by any other state because no other state had a Medicaid program as lavish as yours, and no other state got as much money from the federal government under the Bush administration for this experiment. So there's a lot of big government behind Romney Care, not as much as Obamacare, but a heck of a lot more than your campaign is admitting.
Governor Romney? 30 seconds.
Actually, Newt, we got the idea of an individual mandate from you.
That's not true. You got it from the Heritage Foundation.
We got it from you and the Heritage. You got it from the Heritage Foundation and from you.
Wait a second. What you just said is not true. You did not get that from me. You got it from the Heritage Foundation.
And you've never supported.
I agree with them, but I'm just saying what you said to this audience just now plain wasn't true.
Let me ask, have you supported in the past an individual mandate?
I absolutely did with the Heritage Foundation against Hillary Care.
You did support an individual mandate?
Sure.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm saying. We got the idea from you and the Heritage Foundation.
Okay, a little broader.
Thank you for the opportunity to ask my question. We have 50 million Latinos, and not all of us are illegal. What is the message from you guys to our Latino community?
Speaker Gingrich? President Obama got, I think, 67% of the Latino vote last time around.
Look, I think that there's a very clear message to Americans of all backgrounds. Latinos, Korean Americans, Vietnamese Americans. There are hundreds of different groups who come to America. And as Governor Romney said, I think anybody who understands America has to be proud of our record as the country which has been the most open in history to legal immigration. But the truth is, most Latinos in the United States aren't immigrants. Most Latinos in the United States now have been born in the United States. And the fact is they want virtually exactly what everyone else wants. They want an economy that's growing. They want a job that has take-home pay. They want an access to health insurance that they can afford. They want a chance to get educated that actually is useful and worthwhile. They want to be able to know that their family is going to grow up in safety, and they want to have a chance that their country is going to work to give their children and their grandchildren a better future. I think we have to have the same message for every American of every ethnic background, that we want to make America work again, and you'll know it's working because you will have a job and you'll have a chance to take care of your family.
My question for you is, do you support opening the National Nuclear Repository at Yucca Mountain?
Speaker Gingrich, let's start with you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Look, we worked on this when I was Speaker. I think that it has to be looked at scientifically, but I think at some point we have to find a safe method of taking care of nuclear waste. And today, because this has been caught up in a political fight, we have small units of nuclear waste all over this country in a way that is vastly more dangerous to the United States than finding a method of keeping it in a very, very deep place that would be able to sustain 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000 years of geological safety.
Is Yucca Mountain that place?
I'm not a scientist. I mean, Yucca Mountain certainly was picked by the scientific community as one of the safest places in the United States. It has always had very deep opposition here in Nevada.
You were for opening it in Congress, right? When you're in Congress, you were for it.
When I was in Congress, frankly, I worked with the Nevada delegation to make sure that there was time for scientific studies. But we have to find some method of finding a very geologically stable place. And most geologists believe that, in fact, Yucca Mountain is that.
Speaker Gingrich, do you agree with that?
Well, I think if the question is, does faith matter? Absolutely. How can you have a country which is founded on truths, which begins, we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights? How can you have the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, which says religion, morality, and knowledge being important, education matters? That's the order. Religion, morality, and knowledge. Now, I happen to think that none of us should rush in judgment of others in the way in which they approach God. And I think that all of us up here, I believe, would agree. But I think all of us would also agree that there's a very central part of your faith in how you approach public life. And I, frankly, would be really worried if somebody assured me that nothing in their faith would affect their judgments, because then I'd wonder, where's your judgment? How can you have judgment if you have no faith? And how can I trust you with power if you don't pray? Who you pray to, how you come close to God is between you and God. But the notion that you're endowed by your Creator sets a certain boundary on what we mean by America. If you want to understand how totally broken Washington is, look at this entire model of a super committee, which has now got a magic number to achieve, and if it doesn't achieve the magic number, then we'll all have to shoot ourselves in the head. So when they come back with a really dumb idea to merely cut off our right leg, we'll all be grateful that they're only semi-stupid instead of being totally stupid. Now, the idea that you have a bunch of historically illiterate politicians who have no sophistication about national security trying to make a numerical decision about the size of the defense budget tells you everything you need to know about the bankruptcy of the current elite in this country in both parties. The fact is, we ought to first figure out what threatens us. We ought to figure out what strategies will respond to that. We should figure out what structures we need for those strategies. We should then cost them. I helped found the Military Reform Caucus. I'm a hawk, but I'm a cheap hawk. But the fact is to say I'm going to put the security of the United States up against some arbitrary budget number is suicidally stupid. Just very straightforward. Cliff and I did a film on Ronald Reagan. There's a very painful moment in the film when he looks in the camera and says, I didn't think we did this. I'm against doing it. I went back and looked. The truth is we did. It was an enormous mistake. And he thought the Iranian deal was a terrible mistake. Let me just point out for a second that maximizing bickering is probably not the road to the White House. And the technique you've used maximizes going back and forth over and over again. I just want to say two things. I think that I would be the strongest candidate because of sheer substance. If you go to Newt.org and look at the 21st Century Contract with America, As the nominee, I will challenge Obama to meet the Lincoln-Douglas standard of 7 3-hour debates, no moderator, only a timekeeper. I believe we can defeat him decisively to a point where we reestablish a conservative America on our values, and I think that is a key part of thinking about next year.